all wonky. Let's try that again. Oh my God, what's going on? I got nothing over here. I'm frozen up. Oh no. You there, Wes?
Yeah.
What happened?
Hello.
I don't even know what's going on. I can't get anything. Hey,
Hello.
You got me now? Have you been spaced out too? I don't know what's going on. I was gone for a good while there. The internet gremlins are afoot, but this is purportedly the Lowco Hoops Report. I don't even know what's going on with the internets on the Isle of Hilton Head today. Were you talking that whole time, Wes? I don't know what was going on. I was in the ether. I don't know what was going on. But this is the Lowco Hoops Report. I'm Justin Jarrett. He's Wes Kerr. This is live entertainment, and sometimes the technology fails us, and I'm going to be a little distracted because my Mizzou Tigers are playing right now. Most solidarity I've felt as a Mizzou fan here in the Low Country going against Ohio State, because as we know, we have a lot of Buckeye fans, but that means we have a lot of anti-Buckeye fans, whoever the Buckeyes are playing fans. So MIZ to all of you. But we're going to talk some hoops in the Loco tonight, assuming the internet continues to play along with us here. We're hoping to have some friends stop by and talk hoops with us as well. I know Rob Benson and Will White are up in Charleston for the Carolina Invitational. Most of the local teams kind of took it on the chin today, although the Hilton Head Christian girls did get a nice bounce back win after losing the first one. They beat Ashley Ridge. But yeah, tell us about that Bobcat Classic.
I came in, it was halftime. They were down by 7, and then that third quarter, the script completely changed. Bobcats going on a tremendous third quarter run, an 18-4 run in that third quarter to take control of the ball game. And man, they approached their defensive mindset, and it went into fruition quickly. Takoya Hayward, absolute monstrous game, doing most of her work from the free throw line. She was absolutely ice in her veins. She was red hot, but had the ice in her veins all the way, all the night long. Yeah, they did a great job getting to the free throw line, taking advantage of quick looks at or close to the rim, and then be able to draw some fouls and getting the bonus quickly, which really helped. But man, Takoya, absolute cash money from the free throw line this contest. And just doing some quick math here and looking at count like 17 of 18 from the stripe for Hayward. Just, incredible.
Oh, wow.
I think she's ended up with 22 points, but she made like 16 to 17 or so from the line, which is a very, very impressive. Because that is hard to do at the girls' level of high school basketball, to see that immaculate foul shooting. And my God, it wasn't just her, but Myra Brown was excellent from the free throw line after a tough first quarter, and so was Maddie Washington. So, it really just isn't Takoya Hayward, though. She has been the star of the show and has been in every part of the leadership role as you could have hoped for Bluffton. But it was a gutsy effort in that second half after the defense really struggled. Those first two quarters, they really got after it. They were able to force some turnovers and just get back that tenacious level of defense. And they kept care of the basketball pretty well on the offensive side, and it didn't really allow anything easy for their opponents down the stretch from Florida. So they are on to the championship, and they'll face off against a fellow South Carolina foe in Woodmont tomorrow for the Bobcat Classic title. So, once again, this Bluffton girls team, as much as we thought early in the season, are they capable of taking that next step, and can they go deeper in the postseason? I think this is a great optimism for what we could see in 2024 with this group, because I think they're really starting to reach a new level collectively. I think Hayward is taking a step up, but so has Amira Brown, and they just look a lot more confident there. Maddie Washington as well, and Jelena Mosley, absolute dog, picking up some boards, getting some steals, doing it all for Bluffton here tonight. So really strong performance, second one in a row after it wasn't a great start, but the way they finished these last two games was kind of the same last night. They couldn't get off the schneid early on, but then once they did, they took it to them defensively, and we kind of saw that same script tonight with that Bluffton team. So they'll get one more chance to win the Bobcat Classic against Woodmont tomorrow night. But man, I mean, just the one loss so far, Military Mag, has been quite a start for the Bluffton girls so far this season.
Yeah, no doubt. And it was cool to talk with Takoya last night. And, she mentioned that they weren't real pleased about how they got out of the gate last, in the first round. So good to see them, come back and play their best today. And certainly you would think they'd have a great shot to win. Did you get to see any of Woodmont yet? Or I know, it's a lot.
I think they were on the opposite side of the bracket.
Yeah, so they were playing it the times you were dipping out. So, that makes sense. But, I mean, it should be a good matchup. If you've won 2 over 2 days, you got something there. And so it should be a good battle. You hope Bluffton's lack of depth doesn't come back to on 3rd and 3 days. But, yeah, that's cool. That's cool that we were able to end off the out-of-staters.
Is the one concern. Yeah, because there are a lot of quality squads in this tournament came from out of state, but that's a really athletic Cypress Bay team that they beat, and they've got some really athletic guards and some good shooters. But Bluffton, they got hot early, but Bluffton was really able to keep them out at bay by not forcing as many shots and getting to them on defense that second half. So that's what we're really kind of turning the tide.
Bay, they kept them at bay. Come on, man. I had to shout out your pun there.
Yeah,
they kept Cypress Bay at bay.
Yep.
How'd the guys' game turn out? I know that Marvin Ridge was up pretty big early on.
Yeah, they were up 47-21, I believe, after 3. They took control early on. Carnell Ward, that guy's a dude. He fought hard tonight. Just couldn't get many stops defensively. That's a really clinical and strong Marvin Ridge team. Just kind of picked them apart and made some nice passes. Bluffton just unable to really match the intensity that they showed on the court. But that's to be expected. It's a really, really strong team over there from North Carolina. So hopefully they can bounce back in their final game in the tournament. But I'm looking at this Woodmont team, and I think it's a winnable game for Bluffton. They had a couple of losses before coming into this to Riverside, Eastside, and Greenwood. A couple of close wins, but I got to think I like Bluffton's chances tomorrow, even with the small amount of depth. I think the way they responded and the way they've been playing this year against a Woodmont team that is certainly strong, but I think they've had some up and down moments this year, and I believe in this Bobcat team. I think they're gonna and Takoya, as she said in the podcast last night, she wants it more. She wants to win this thing her senior year, last season. Yeah. So I think she is going to step up and expend the last of that energy in this 3-game stretch and pull this Bobcat squad to victory tomorrow.
Right on, man. Well, great to see the Bluffton girls onto the championship game. May River boys went 3-0 up in Rock Hill, Benny Bennett tournament. I think they kind of did them a disservice, the pool that they put them in, though, because they played Low Country Leadership, then they played the Greenville Hurricanes yesterday, and then they played Newberry today, which is a 2A. So I don't know, man. I don't love that they traveled all the way up to Rock Hill and they played 3 lopsided games. You wish they would have put them in a little more competitive bracket or whatever. I'm not sure what the deal was there, but that's kind of a bummer. But May River continues to cruise along, which is good to see. Hilton Head Prep boys got back on track today, 44-34 over George Walton Academy out of Georgia over in that St. Andrews tournament. What else? Colleton Prep girls almost made the finals in the IP Builders Holiday Classic that they're hosting. They lost 38-36 to Florence Christian in the semis. Orangeburg Prep beat Hilton Head Prep 52-34 in the other girls semi. I'm trying to get all this into a ticker, but it's hard to get it all to fit. Forsyth, you mentioned that one. Never mind. That's Bobcat Classic. We have a friend coming in. We also have news from outside the Lowco, but we'll invite Rob Benson in. I assume the Bada Bing. I assume is Rob Benson with this H2 Mafia. What's up, buddy?
Hello, big dog. How are you, my friend?
You're live on the Lowco Hoops Report. Welcome to the show.
Are we not always live? Is that not?
I mean, more or less. We're just on display.
Okay.
Here's some news. Here's some hoops news from outside the Lowco that is Lowco adjacent. Just got a text this very minute from our friend, our mutual friend, Nick Field.
Okay.
And he says, we won our bracket at the John Wall tonight. Was super cool. Wish you were there, man. Congratulations to Nick Field and Stab. Isn't that what they're called? Stab?
St. Anne's Belfield, man.
Yeah, Stab. St. Anne's Belfield. Stabbed him a championship at the John Wall. So that's pretty cool. But how's it going up there in Chucktown? I know you're enjoying the chain Chinese restaurants and such, but how about the basketball?
Been to many games. Seen most of the locals that made their way up here, and of course a lot of the Charleston teams that also kind of sit in regions of some of our southern Lowco folk. It's a mixed bag, man. These tournaments are incredible. They're from all over the area. It took me 50 minutes to get from my kids' game all the way over to the Hilton Head Christian girls' game today. So it's spread out everywhere. There's probably 300 teams here, and it's as much a tourist event as it is a basketball tournament, but they do a wonderful job. And I think the brackets are almost always fair, and there's good games. So what I've seen so far, unfortunately, is, more middling sort of results from the Hilton Head Christian boys. I think they're 5-5 right now and have more talent than all that suggests, right? But at the same time, they've played really, really good teams up here.
Right.
They've played a team that was 11-0, and they've played another team. I think it was like 9-1 or 9-2.
They went to overtime today.
They did.
Right?
They did.
And yesterday they lost by like 6 or 7. So they've been competitive against those solid squads at least.
No, they definitely have. And obviously, the girls came up here. They got absolutely demolished by George Washington, which is probably a top 5 or 6 team in West Virginia, yesterday. And that Christian's in a transition year. Like, I was with the parents tonight, right. And I think they all there's not even a source of frustration. It's just sort of the end of the road on that dynasty a little bit. And because they were so good for so long, they had to schedule up in a way that makes them look better than they are this year. So, they skated by their chinny chin chin tonight versus Ashley Ridge, who also has another H2 kid, who is just a freaking joy of a human being.
That's Nadia, right? Nadia Presley.
Nadia. Yeah. So Nadia got to go up against Maya and Devin, and to be quite honest, Maya and Devin ate tonight. They did big stuff. And that's what's required for them to get those wins. Yesterday, Devin, I think, put a big fat 0 in the box score, so that's why that result looks like that, right? Like they need all three of their kids every night to show up. I think Morgan's a little beat down. I mean, she's taken on all that physicality, right? As
Right.
well. So like the Christian thing right now is still very talented, still possibly the best in 3A. But they definitely have had a more up and down first couple months than I think I would have expected,
Right.
especially on the boys' side. Like I
Mhm.
thought the boys would roll, to a certain degree,
Yeah.
and
I was uneasy just because, it's just a lot of mouths to feed, so to speak, and with the new coach coming in too, and like I don't know,
A lot of
I still
adjustments.
think they're going to be okay, but I kind of anticipated there might be a little bit of a transition period. Just, I mean,
well,
it's
and I
hard to
think
get a new coach every year, man. Like,
so. It is, and then I'll tell you what's funny is I mean, being real with you, I get the box scores from these games every morning from some of the
right?
better as well as toughest parents in the area in terms of whether it's Christian or any of these schools. And hey,
Yeah,
does this look right to you? What do you see on this box score? And I can tell you
right.
right now, like just straight and shoot, like straight from the gut. Um, Hilton Head Christian has an identity problem because their like fourth or fifth best kid is taking the most shots, and that's the end game. They have a cult of Harry there, and Harry needs to be a point guard, not their be all end all. They have more talented
Yeah,
kids,
yeah,
and that's not a shot because he's
Yep.
an elite point guard, and that's what he needs to
yeah, yeah,
be. But someone needs to
yeah.
have that discussion and say, you know what?
Right.
You don't need 18 shots a game. Eli and Q do.
Yeah,
And
yeah. He needs to feed for now. I mean, he'll have his time when they need him to score that many points, but right now
yeah,
he needs to
well,
facilitate because he's got the weapons around him. He needs to
again, he's a
use them.
uniquely talented kid. So
Oh my
I
gosh,
get,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
I get the want to pull
Yeah,
the
sure.
trigger. But at the end of the day, he's as talented diming as he is shooting.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure where they got off
Yeah,
track here and like where they started to reprioritize. But for them to go as far as they can go, they need to kind of let the main thing be the main thing, which is Q and Eli, and Isaiah
yeah,
and Isaiah.
yeah, yeah. Right. Well,
Um,
they just probably need to work it inside out a little bit more. It'll help Harry get better looks too.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think, and the
and
only
that's the
reason we
thing.
discuss this at all is because they're 5-5, and they really shouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Well,
mean,
I
they
mean,
really
and
shouldn't be.
honestly, like their coaching staff's
Hmm.
probably having similar discussions. Like, hey,
For
why are
sure.
we 5-5? Like we're not
Mm,
like geniuses here who are
They're challenging
cracking Da
themselves. They're
Vinci
playing
Code or
up.
anything, but yeah,
Well,
they are,
and
and
yeah,
yeah,
and that's true too, Wes. They have a much better
Yeah.
schedule this year than they did the year prior. So I mean, there's like no two ways about it. When you're challenging yourself, you're going to take some L's, and that's okay.
yeah,
Like you want to
yeah,
get, and the other side of it
yeah,
is that they haven't had a full team consistently for a good minute, right? Like they
right,
have three kids one night and they have two kids one night and four
yeah,
kids another night and football ran deep and so like
yeah,
now they're finally just getting to the point where they've got a full slate of kids.
right,
Um and so maybe that bodes well for later in the season, whereas like with prep,
yeah,
for example, they've played well early.
right,
Um but maybe that's sort of what they've got, right?
right, yeah, yeah,
Um,
right. Like they kind of, yeah,
Yep.
I got you. Yeah,
yeah, like maybe
the
so.
capped,
Anyway,
the capped.
the cap, like you're playing to your ceiling
Yep.
early in the seasons, and
Yeah,
maybe I'm not sure that's true, but because the Princeton makes it difficult no matter what, but
yeah, and
it is
I think they're pretty good, and I think they've got some young kids that are getting better as things go along here. So I don't
well,
think they
sir.
have, I don't think they have capped at all. Um, but I see what you're saying. Like
But they've also
it ebbs and flows. There's different arcs of a season.
Yep.
And like I said, I think Hilton Christian's going to be fine. I think it's just kind of figuring out how do you get everybody what they need and
I think
where they
these
need to be.
teams are very close in terms of.
It's just hard discussions, right?
Prep's still a team to beat between them.
It is.
But that's all it is. It's hard discussions. You got to sit down and define roles and say, hey, this is what it is for us to try to get to where we want to be. And I think all of them will start to have. So, like, I feel like the Charleston tournament here, and then, of course, the other ones that are going on between the Bobcat Classic and then I don't even know what the other one is. The weed and pool leader pool.
You mean the IP Builders? The IP Builders Holiday Classic at Charleston College of Prep?
I was trying to pull out like an old
IP Builders
bowl game, like an old bowl game from the 90s.
Oh yeah,
it sounded like it.
Right.
Yeah, but essentially, so like between those three,
Bad Boy Mowers. That's what you're going for.
The Bad Boy. Yeah, exactly. I mean, not everything could be the Duke's Mayo Bowl, right? Anymore.
Speaking of which, speaking of the Mayo Bowl, I gotta give a little cross promotion here for Under the Bus, where Curry Kirkpatrick, Hall of Fame sports writer, noted North Carolina Tar Heel, made a couple of great jokes at the Tar Heels' expense. There's no May in Mayo Bowl, and when Drake May pulled out, as well as you can't spell Mayo Bowl without Mac Brown.
There you go.
I figured you'd appreciate that as a Maryland guy, bada bing.
Yeah, I mean,
proceed.
Well, okay, so we've done a little of that, and I feel like I tell you what, guys, let me know what's going on at the Bobcat Classic because I'm up here in Charleston. I can break this down all day.
Yeah.
And we have
the girls are in the championship. The guys took one to them against a really good Marvin Ridge team. Both Hampton teams have been kind of struggling. Whale Branch girls have as well. But the real story is this Bluffton girls squad. And the way not just DeCoy is playing, but that entire group. Jelena Mosley has been a superstar this tourney alongside Myra Brown is really starting to step up. She had a tough first quarter. She missed a lot of shots at the line, but just the process and the way she's been, finding ways to enhance the offense, I think has been really noticeable. And they were down 7 in halftime, and then they went on an 18-4 run in the third quarter to pull ahead and rode the momentum the rest of the way. And it was all based on that relentless pressure defense and DeCoy Hayward having those quick hands to steal the ball away. But it wasn't just her; it was others making impacts as well. Especially Mosley kind of did a little bit on both ends of the floor tonight. But there's a lot more to this Bluffton team than in years past, I think, and a lot of that has to do with the leadership of Hayward, just wanting it in her senior season. But I think Amira Brown, kind of what Hayward, a glimpse of what Hayward was when Aiken was there in her senior year, and you have that next generation player stepping up. And then you have those role players like they had that season, and you have that with Mosley now, with Maddie Washington. Washington was an absolute stud again tonight, by the way. Great shooting at the free throw line and just her relentless rebounding on the glass and finishing at the rim. I think what they do well is they're getting more high percentage shots. You're not taking as many 3 balls and just, working to the rim. And when they tend to draw a lot of fouls, and when they get to the free throw line, get the bonus up real quick, they've been able to cash in. And that's been a big difference. It seems like they're shooting better at the line, and they're just operating the offensive way that gets them more of those looks. So I think the coaching philosophy
drawn a lot of fouls.
Certainly,
they've always drawn a lot of fouls.
Yeah.
Well, Takoya is a straight line driver, so
but they're hitting their shots,
she's going to get that contact and get to the line,
Yeah.
Maddie too. Maddie, like she,
Maddie ain't afraid. Well, Jelena ain't afraid of contact. Neither is Amira. Amira's a bull in the china cupboard. Like they'll all get in there and play rough with you, and if the refs let them play, then they'll out tough you most of the time, and if they're calling fouls, they'll make the free throws. So, no, I think they're a tough crew, and they seem to have kind of rallied around this whole, we rolling with 7 and bring whatever you got. Like they seem to embrace that kind of regulators mentality. I like it. They roll in there ready to go.
Being real, guys, that's all you want.
That's it.
You only need 7. I mean, maybe 8 at tops. Like, and you see it in college season. You see it in the NBA season. They start to like tighten, their rotations as the season goes along. In this particular case,
you guys for a second.
With Bluffton, Bluffton gets it done in terms of having 6 or 7 kids who will go to war with you.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we talked with Koya last night, and she said just that. She's like, people start talking when we walk in the gym about, oh, they only got 7 girls or whatever. And she's like, we love it. Because, we're like, yeah, wait till you see what we got, though.
Well, what's funny, man, is the good girls around here, they know they're going 32.
Right.
So it is what it is, no matter what, right? You're just not coming off the floor unless there's some sort of radical foul trouble or this, that, or the other. But, man, I love the fact that they're in the finals. Is that the second year in a row they're in the Bobcat Classic finals?
Yeah, they won it last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Did they win it last year? Or was it 2 years ago that they won it? I know they've won it in the past.
I know they won it before. I'm not sure.
I feel like they ran pretty deep last year at the very least.
Yeah, I think they may have gotten to the finals and lost. But yeah,
I'm going to look. I'm going to look. You guys keep talking.
Well, okay, so now we got the other tournament that's up the road, which is more of like the Skiza tournament.
The IP Freely Classic.
Hey, before we turn the page, I just one more comment on Bluffton as I load up the roster real quick. There's been some other key role players on this team because it's been a nice group of standouts who have really set the tone well for this Bluffton team. But I'm taking a look at some of these players on these highlights, and a lot of great hustle plays from some guys you don't expect, like Emma Kate McMahon coming in and helping get a loose ball and then making the right pass. It's obviously, you're going to give most of the shots to your big stars, but she's been a nice addition. Going into sophomore, she's really played her role well, and in the sense that she's going to be more of a defensive stopper who's going to find a way to pry some balls loose and get steals, and just show that hustle out there in the court. And she's done that well alongside so many others. So the depth certainly you don't have in terms of scoring, but you have a lot of others who are going to go the extra mile to make those game altering plays. So I just wanted to give her a shout and how this team has really responded well to the challenge of this year, of this opportunity with Tequoia as a senior and wanting to put together a strong year. And I certainly feel like there's a lot more urgency early on, just to get to that high level play, and they've been showing against some good competition this week. So I think Bluffton they have what it takes to compete. Not just I expect them to win this. Obviously James Allen and Lucy Beckham are always going to put out some strong teams, but I do think Bluffton is the front runner in this region. And then certainly deserving of the top 5 ranking, in my opinion, in 4A. I believe they were close to that mark the last time the rankings come out. I'm sure I expect another.
Yeah, they've helped themselves since then. The wins over Greer and Berkeley helped, and then what they've done so far here. They did not win it last year. They lost to South Forsyth in the finals. Lost by 10.
Okay.
So, and I can't find evidence that they've ever.
We got Woodmont tomorrow.
In fact, Woodmont tomorrow. Yeah, Wes.
Wow.
That'll be
Go
legit.
ahead. What do you know about them, Robbie?
I think it's a little.
Go ahead, Wes. Yeah, I don't know too terribly much about Woodmont. I at the end of the day, they're
5-8, but their losses are to, Rock Hill, Greenville, Somerville, Goose Creek, Riverside, East Side, Greenwood. So I don't make much of it.
You just named everywhere in Chicago. No, I'm just kidding.
No, everywhere in Greenville, though. Everywhere in the upstate. Plus,
no. So but that's the thing in these tournaments. I guess that's sort of the greater point, right? Like the records go out the window a little bit. The competition levels are different,
especially in that third day where you're tired, you're banged up. It's all about more of
and I mean,
effort and who is more.
I give a little less of that just because I'm an AAU guy, right? Like,
we play 3 games in a day, 3 days in a row. We're fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids complaining about being tired, and that's just because this isn't what they do a lot. The kids who play 32 minutes are ready to play 32 minutes yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And that's who's carrying these squads anyway. The Takoya Haywards, the Amira Browns, so it's we're now in a situation with the Low Country and the girls basketball side, which is super interesting, more so than it's been in the last 3-4 years. We have a bunch of teams that we just don't know what they are, what they look like, how they pair against each other, what their matchups look like. But the parity is uniquely interesting comparatively to what we've seen where it's been this Bluffton HHCA thing for years. And that there's a certain amount of intrigue there, right? You got the 4A public and you've got the private on the corner and all that kind of stuff.
It's fun.
You've got this big time point guard there, big time point guard there, you like all this stuff. And it's good. But right now, they're so we do the transitive property on this show like no one else, right? The transitive property on the girl side is absurd.
It's so messed up.
It's so messed up. Everyone is one game away from everyone else. It's like Kevin Bacon.
It is. That's what I was about to say.
It's like Kevin Bacon, man. Like everyone is one shade away from everyone else in a transitive property game within 6 points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're like, what? I don't know how to gauge that. Like, how would Vegas put a line on that? I don't even understand.
So weird.
Well, I mean, we're about to see tomorrow.
It's
so up here,
muddy.
We're going to get Cross, which is a definitive 1A. I mean, they've never played varsity basketball on the girls' side, right? A definitive 1A who came up here and been a North Carolina team. Who does fairly well in the western portion of the state, and then got bitten today by a Kentucky team who is the team who derailed Christian's undefeated season last year.
Lawrence County,
Lawrence County, but they actually played them about 15 or 20 points closer.
Right.
Cross did. Right?
Yeah.
So then you
get Palmetto Christian tomorrow.
Now you get, which is a 3A, which is a 3A versus Cross, who's a 1A, who we think right now might be the best 1A and 2A. So that looks interesting. But meanwhile, you had tonight Orangeburg versus Prep, right? At the Poulan Weed Eater Bowl in Shreveport.
At the Murdaugh Heavy Equipment Rentals Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. The Murdaugh Heavy Rental Equipment. Yeah, played at the Hardyville, whatever. But long story short, so now Prep loses by 15-18 to Orangeburg. Orangeburg's 3A. Okay. Prep, are they worse than JP2? Do we know this definitively yet?
No, we don't. We don't know.
Okay.
We just don't.
Is JP2, after running a nice early season and now taking the month of December and January off.
Taking a holiday.
Yeah, they took a holiday. I hope everyone's nice and tan from summer skiing or winter skiing, back from Aspen. But at the end of the day, like, they played a nice schedule to start, and they won at a decent clip, right? And I know some of their kids. They've got some kids who are gamers, right? So like,
JP2 did beat Palmetto Christian by 17. Like they put it on them pretty good.
Yep.
So this will be a good little addition to our transitive property. I feel like Charlie Kelly and Always Sunny with all the Carol.
But then JP2 didn't beat Patrick Henry that badly. And
they beat him bad enough, though.
Yeah, and then Cross puts down BA in a way that
was
JP.
Impressive. But at the same time,
I'm just saying,
Courtney outscored BA yesterday, 29-26. So that was a pretty good day for her. BA struggling. They just don't have a second option to score, and it's a problem.
BA is in trouble, and I didn't know Courtney outscored him, but that's
she had 29 and they won 42-26. Pretty solid.
But Orangeburg got after them, and I think Courtney only had, from what I understood, like 14 or 15 shots today, which is not. I'll tell you,
Orangeburg gets after people. That coach, I forget what her name is, but man, she's intense. She reminds me of Coach Belinda. She gets after people.
Well, she does, and the family is super feisty, and they've played Christian recruiting in the past, and as early as like last year, right? Like they went all on the Skiza message boards, and like the actual coach's kid went ballistic about all that sort of stuff. So the point is there's no love lost with any of it. So they go out. But the point is who wins? Like, who's definitively any better than anyone in 3A right now? Is Christian still really that much better than JP? Is JP that much better than Orangeburg? No. Is Prep, can they compete with any of them? I think it's interesting right now.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I think it's more interesting than it has been in a long time. As far as like Christian, I don't think can just walk in there.
Yeah, I don't think they're
just by showing up.
As they've been.
No, Orangeburg's going to be a problem, I think.
I think
John Paul can be a problem for him too if they play their cards right.
Yeah, those three teams, the gap is certainly narrowed when you look at what Prep is doing with Courtney Campbell and her lights out play and everybody stepping up. Coach Hartman, what a job that he has done this season. They've been looking for that that strong coach who can really do a good job fitting the skills and quality of their best players alongside the group that they have, and Hartman has taken that in a fantastic way because he's got those supporting players really finding a good melding point with the strong shooting and just the leadership and the passing that you get with a floor general and Courtney Campbell, who is certainly going to command a lot of usage, but the other players are stepping up, which is what you want to see. So I think he's doing a terrific job with what they have over there, and they're going to give a tough couple of games against Hilton Head Christian Academy, especially if Courtney's shooting well and she's on her game and the rest of the team is. So that could be fun. It always is. I mean, I think this might be the best additions as a rivalry that we've seen in a while. And then Hilton Head Prep Christian on the boys' side. I mean, that's going to be as advertised with the way that Hilton Head has responded to guys that they have lost. Other players have really done a good job fitting in. I think that they found some more outside shooters, and they've definitely proven that over the Holiday Classic, and then moving forward into this week. Although they're playing some tough competition, I think they've showed that well from themselves these past two holiday weeks. And then Hilton Head Christian, that's still a good squad, and I know they're taking some lumps, but That's what you want to do early on in the season. And the talented core of Elijah White and Harry Skinner, who is just so fun to watch out there.
Well, and
I think
I think Justin said it though, Wes, in like a kind of a low key way, which is maybe they just haven't really gelled and had time to figure out who they are as a team and like how it works best.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's kind of it. I think it's just like you got a lot of individual personalities and styles and things like that and ideas about what they want to do, and it's just kind of like figuring out what hasn't worked and what has, and fine-tuning it as you go. But that's why you test yourself early, is like is this, there's a lot of different ways that team can play, but which ones are going to be the most successful, and I think they're kind of figuring that out over time. But no, Hilton Prep, speaking of those outside shooters, Billy Barron did it again today, Wes.
Yeah.
He had 15 on 5 and 9 from 3. And notably, Hilton Prep yesterday, they get baited into playing in the 60s and 70s, and they lose 71-62. Come back today, and they win 44-34. They're like, yeah, that's more our speed. We like it down there in the 30s and 40s. So when they can control the pace, they're tough to handle. The key is you got to get them out of that comfort zone.
That's the thing, man. Billy's been born and bred on that system, and like he knows where his spots are, and he's got a silky release.
Silky. I mean, it's quick and it's smooth, and you're right. Yeah. Like he gets to his spot, and he's like, pop, pop, and it's over. By the time they even know what's hit him, it's splashing through the net. And the Brendan Moore kid can do that too. He can stroke it pretty good. So. No, I think they're dangerous when they can play their game. And
I mean, the Hilton
mentioned before,
was nice, right?
Oh, really nice. I mean, they went 2-1 in that tournament, and the only loss was to the champ, and it was in a pretty good game. So, I mean, they're impressive to me, super impressive.
And previously, they've had a hard time getting in that tournament.
Right. I'm glad.
So, like,
that's cool.
Yeah. Everyone's copacetic with letting everyone into everyone's tournaments. But no, in the real world, none of these teams are allowed into the Seahawk Classic. I mean, that's the facts. Like the facts are locals aren't allowed, and so the fact is Prep got in this year, and they did well, and they actually caught the home squad, which is wild. Wild.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like
I'm not sure.
Like whoever did
I'm not
that.
Sure how the bracket is.
I don't know. That's a shrewd diplomat who pulled that one off. But
because that's not
kudos.
That's a kudos. Like that man
kudos
deserves
to all involved.
That man deserves a raise.
Well, clearly Shane Brown must have had something to do with it, because I don't think Shane Brown was playing somebody he didn't want in the tournament in the first round if he didn't want to. So kudos to him, I would have to say, for giving the go-ahead on that one. But I hope we see more of it.
He's just a real dude, man.
He is.
You know what I mean?
Stand-up guy. He is. He's like, y'all want to come over and play? Sure, why not?
And you know what? And Wes said it earlier on the girls' side. Like the same thing with Prep with Hartman. Hartman's just a real dude.
Yeah.
He's like, what? Hey, Rob, what do we got to do to like make girls ball more popular? Like, screw high school, forget travel. Like, what do we, as people who care about growing the game and development, and developing. Young athletes, like what's the best way to go about it? And so he's just always listening, and he's always interested, and he's always vested, and that's the difference.
Vested and collaborative spirit. He meets everything with the collaborative spirit, he wants to learn, he wants to he's a yes and person, which I think all of us are, which I think is why we appreciate each other, because we're always like, yeah, that's a great idea, and how can I help? And here's something else we could do. And I love that about Hartman. I love the effort and energy that he puts into it. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, is like there's a commitment level there, and he's not like full-time coach, right? Like he's got a day job.
No, he's got a gig. But like,
yeah,
he's
he's
the
got
thing,
a day
like,
job, but he
but
eats, sleeps, and breathes it nonetheless, and I love
But I
that
mean,
about him.
you know, like you gotta shine a special light on those who have been getting it done when there's been no spotlight. Like, so now he's the
Right.
prep girls head coach, right? And he's got Courtney, who's literally a top 25 kid in the state. So like, there's a little bit of shine there. They're still like very mid, just like most of the area, being honest. But he's ascended by virtue of giving a crap. He's ascended
There's sheer will of effort.
by sheer will of effort, by showing up to clinics that didn't make sense, by showing up to camps that were not necessarily planned out, you know, in the detail that they needed to be. But you know what he was always good for? He would always man a station. Hey, you know what? Send me 6 kids down here. We're going to do this. And it's going to be fundamental. It's not going to be, we're not going to be dancing at cones. We're not going to be, you know, doing this, that, and the other. We're going to do basic drop in your stance. Like, this is how basketball is played. And there's some doldrum there. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. But he's figured out a way to look. There's no way prep should be competitive this year at all. Zero. Like last year, I said this about him. I gave him my coach of the year. I'll give him my coach of the year into perpetuity because they don't even have girls at that school.
Right.
They don't even have like girls to draw from.
Right.
Right. I mean, yeah,
Like,
don't get me wrong. When you have
walking around rounding up 8 girls, come on, let's go.
Well, and here's the reality: like the best teams in the area, you got Bluffton, you got. I mean, JP's a little of an anomaly because they're like they do it by numbers. They paint by numbers, right? But like when you look at Bluffton and you look at Christian and you look at Cross and you look at Prep, they all have the same thing in common, which is they have like an elite playmaker point guard.
Yeah.
You know, and then so those particular schools, you've now defeated. That's half the battle. You have a kid who handles the ball 80% of the game, who mostly makes the right play and can score if they need to, and can carry you sometimes. And so you're already like well above, you know, the Mason-Dixon line there. For those of us who understand where that is. But like you're in one of those sort of situations where, you know, rarefied air. You got a point guard, man, an elite point guard in the state, right? But Hartman has managed to have to recruit from the other academies, from the general population. He had 2 very key transfers. So, like, we talk about the emergence of Cross. Well, Hartman's, like, arguably 2 of his 4 next best kids are transfers from Cross. And they're Helmses.
Oh, yeah, the Helmses,
Wow.
Yeah, they're solid.
And they're solid. So, like, you know, so he just keeps plugging, man, because he cares, and that matters. And that's a big deal locally on that front. And of course, he's got an elite kid to kind of like. I mean, it wouldn't matter as much, I guess, if he didn't have an elite kid that was dragging him to like a 7-3 record and whatever. But yeah, it is what it is.
It would be even more yeoman's effort, but I think without his enthusiasm and effort, Courtney would have been gone from there a long time ago, probably. You know, like, I mean, I think the investment is a big part of what has kept her in that environment. Is just that it's positive.
Well, you know, this is the thing, and I do this every year. It's like match the energy, right? We do this, and that's what we want from the high schools versus what we do in travel. And all that really means is, okay, if you are in this association, say SCISA, know the damn rules. Like this is when you're allowed to practice. This is when you're allowed to do 3-on-1 workouts. This is when you're allowed to do conditioning, you know? And if you
and then
do
take
that,
advantage of that time.
and then take advantage of that time and use it purposefully.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, a guy like Hartman is that guy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He
He
takes part.
He's got it marked on his calendar. He can't wait till the day he can get in there with them and get to work. Like he's sitting on the,
And there's but there's also other stuff like if your specialty isn't S&C, right? Like, and you got to get kids in great shape, he'll take some portion of his stipend and go give it to a Marwin Klein and say, you're in here every Tuesday and Thursday, and you're kicking our basketball girls' butts, right?
Yep.
And it like sort of increases the footprint of the program to make it more vested, right? And to have
shows that you're putting some resources into it, that you have a plan to develop the athlete, wholly, and all those things.
Exactly. The more good people involved, the more legs the athlete
you
has.
You get in what you put out. I think that's at the end of the day, and that goes for so many things in life. And he's lived up to that, to developing the entire young man, young woman, or in this case, coaching the girls team. And it's been great to see the results of that on the basketball court, and good for Courtney for sticking it out, because she's had some years where it's been a lot leaner, and she's had to kind of be the woman, the young lady to carry the load, and she's done a fantastic job with that. Now to see her continue to improve and the rest of the team elevating with her is just got to make her feel good, and just the entire group around her for succeeding with her. And that's what it's all about. And the cultivation that Coach Hartman has done as he's been approaching it the right way. And that's a program that they had some promising years in the past, and the last 2 or so before this, they just didn't really have the athletes to match up with the best teams in this region. And now I think it's on the premise that it's an anomaly in some ways, because you're dealing with a lot of academy kids and some girls who are playing tennis and are playing soccer. And you're trying to get to play more sports. And if you can do a better job recruiting the hallways and get players you're going to buy in, and not go 50% but go 100%, which is that's an important factor, as we've talked all the time about how important it is to play multiple sports, and you have those players going hard on the basketball court, and translating that success to whatever you do after that. It's beneficial for everyone, and even so for those top level basketball players who are leading teams. So that's what it really comes down to some points in that sense of things. And I think you're doing it better.
And we could stop on Hartman at this point, because he does all that. But here's what's interesting, leadership, right? Leaders, born, bred. I don't know, nature, nurture. I'm not sure. But what I do know really quickly is, if you're Courtney Campbell and you're stuck in the position that you've been stuck in the last couple of years, where you have to mentor literal babes, like literal
middle schoolers,
literal children who've never played at any level, some who've never played basketball. Last year they had a kid who was an exchange student from Germany, and she was excellent at I believe soccer, but she only know those rules. And they noticed about December on tape that she never would run past Courtney or the ball on the fast break.
Oh, she wouldn't go offside.
She was afraid of getting offsides.
Oh my.
Yeah. So this is the level of stuff they've been doing. I'm not even talking Hartman now. Courtney Campbell, who is Courtney Campbell is a genius in the way she sees the floor. If you surround her with four other kids who are dogs, who absolutely own it, she will find the right kid every single time. She is
the best players have that sense.
She's special. She feels it. She has every understanding of the game. And So like she's been dealing with stuff for 2 years that would okay, like everyone knows PJ's my kid, PJ's at Cross, PJ's doing great at Cross. PJ could not do that. Like
right.
she,
Oh no. PJ would be out of the gym by halftime. She'd be in the car waiting.
She'd be like, recruit up, Dad, because this is not what's happening right now. Like this is not like these kids don't know what they're doing.
No.
And the thing is that's not a shot against PJ, because the thing is she's a damn general. But the bottom line is with Courtney, to show the level of nurture that she's had for these kids who don't and then to consistently make a pass to a kid can't complete it. Think about that. Like that's literally pushing that's like pushing the rock up the hill, right? And it keeps coming down.
The definition of insanity.
It's the definition of insanity, but in this context, it's the definition of growth and being a leader and making the program better and being a good person.
Yeah.
So she gets all the credit in the world for being
100%.
Look, she can shoot 1,000 times a game and still be the most selfless kid on the court.
And speaking of Courtney, how about her brother Connor? Hooping up on the boys team.
Great ball.
He has been tremendous this year. I mean, I don't know if you've been able to watch much of him, but he was electric in that holiday tournament. I mean, the passes, the vision that he has developed out there, it's superb. I mean, just like his sister, the way he's able to see the court and pick out some tough passes and get to them with open shots. He has become everything for this Golden Prep.
Here's a classic Connor Campbell line for you from today. He had 2 points on 1 of 2 shooting. He had 2 turnovers. He had 7 assists and 4 steals. He was plus 13. Solid. That's yeoman's work, baby.
Plays,
yeoman's work. Gotta love it.
The unselfishness.
His dad won't love those numbers, bro.
No, he wants him to score. He doesn't like the 7 assists and 4 steals.
The 7 assists is great. His 7 assists is great, but at the end of the day, like the plus minus is it's a matter of who you're playing, right? Like, well, if you're on the court and you guys make a run, then your plus minus is nice.
Well, I mean, I just threw that in because it was there in front of me. Only one guy.
No, but like at the end of the day, Connor's just like Courtney. Like they run the show.
Dog.
Like, come on, man. Like how? It's just here's the thing. In college, I deal with it all the time right now in this travel, and all they want is a prototype who's a lead guard who scores at the rim first, right? And that's cool. Yeah. But then when they get to college and they can't pull that off in the way they thought they could, and then all of a sudden they can't run an offense and their offense is inefficient, they look around and wonder why. And you wonder why because you didn't grab kids who ran offenses from day one. Right. Who made that their profession, right? Like I'm so good at so at prep with the Princeton, I mean, come on, man. How much more you gotta know about basketball than learning it via the Princeton?
Yeah, that's breaking it down to brass tacks right there. We have not shouted out any sponsors. So we're going to do them justice on our next show. But the MVP sponsors of Lowco Sports, Megan Jarrett, the official realtor of Lowco Sports, and my wife. She would love to help you find a spot in the Lowco, forever home, starter home, whatever you need. Megan Jarrett, the official realtor of Lowco Sports with Keller Williams, the Low Country. When we find that perfect home, we'll call on Jan Lucas and his team from Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of the Lowco Sports, and they will help you make sure that it's the right place for you. Make sure it's not going to be a money pit. great investment. Homegrown home inspections will be your eyes and ears until move-in day. And then we'll call on Mickelson Law Firm to sign the papers with the official real estate closing attorneys of Lowco Sports and our original sponsor since 2017. We love Ryan and Tiffany and the Mickelson team. Call on them for all your legal needs. And finally, Hospice Care, the Low Country, wonderful caring staff over there providing hospice care, palliative care, and free grief counseling, among other services right here in the Low Country, because in Hospice Care, the Low Country, it's not about dying, Rob. It's about living. I know you like that one. Those are our MVP sponsors, fellas. We got a little sidetracked there. We had a lot of Hilton prep talk. Robbie, did you hear about Did you hear me talk about May River? The boys, they went up to Rock Hill to the what's that called? The Benny Bennett Memorial Tournament.
Okay. And
I don't think they got a fair shake as far as the pool they got put in. They played Low Country Leadership, which is rough. The Greenville Hurricanes, and then today they played Class 2A Newberry, and they won all their games by like 20 plus.
So Newberry,
that's not really worth going to Rock Hill for, is it?
I mean, so was it in the event center? I'm not sure.
I think it was at Clover High School.
Oh, the level of competition that May River has had to play has not been.
They just played 1A, the 1As in Skeeza and the Publics. That's just what they just did.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know why that was there in the tournament.
No, I mean just this weekend. So Low Country Leadership is what, a 1A?
Yeah, they played a 1A charter. They played that like gets hammered by everybody. Like Bridges Prep beat by like 50. Yeah, they're terrible. Greenville Hurricanes, which is like
that's a
homeschool thing, right? That's like a homeschool thing. Yeah, and then they played Newberry, which is a 2A. So
I think they're 1A, man.
I'm pretty sure they're 2A.
Then you're probably right. Yeah. They moved up. What even is 1A? But yeah, so that's not worth it. And I think scheduling matters. Like, you know what I mean? How prepared are they going into January now that they're going into region, right? Like, so that's what this is. We're at the end of the out of conference. So if you look at the college season the same way, where you have bye games and you have the out of conference schedule and you have the conference schedule and you have, the conference schedule generally, now it's changed around a little bit in the last several years, but the conference schedule generally didn't start until January, and then it went until Selection Sunday, right? And that was like the basis of it. So that's where we essentially are. The beauty, and this is what we were talking about earlier, like when we were always adjusted to get basketball started earlier, because November, December is so fun, because there's so many of these cross-platform matchups. Like, I mean, it's hard to now Christian, for example, they have that cross-platform but so many publics are playing privates right now.
I know,
and it's such a good thing. Like, I want to see it, like it's
great.
And it is. And then you have some teams that are incredibly active and others that aren't particularly active. And I mean, apparently Royal Live Oaks, by the way, is only playing a region schedule. That's it.
That should go well for them. Yeah. That should go well for them.
Well, I like the warm. I like how you're gonna just warm up and roll into region like that. Hey.
Yeah. Well, first game. Yeah. I'm not sure it's going to change the outcomes all that much. As far as the end result, the region record probably going to be the same either way. But that's unfortunate that they're not giving those kids a full season and a full opportunity to develop. I mean, you'd like to see them at least make an effort to play all the games that you can play, or at least more than that. I don't know. Goodness. But nonetheless, some other results. Orangeburg Sweet 16 wrapped up today. I think you had to have won one. I don't know. I didn't see original Hardyville score today. But Lee Central beat Battery Creek 51-47. So Battery Creek finished up 2-2. Elijah Mathis with 12, Kelvin Willis with 10. Whale Branch beat Edisto 49-30. Gregory Gilbert with 14, Bradford Thompson with 12. So Whale Branch went 3-1, blew that lead to Calhoun County the other night. They were up 13 at halftime and let it get away. But pretty good showing for Whale Branch. I think they're close to turning the corner as well. They've struggled a little bit early, but I think they're figuring it out as well.
Tough games, though, man. Like a lot
Yeah.
of those are backyard brawls, right? Like, I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to be in region, or like they can just be your neighbor. Like they're 3A or 4A, and it's like, let's go.
Oh, I loved that. The Orangeburg tournament, the Sweet 16 had some really cool matchups. Like the matchups were pretty even. Battery Creek played Airport and Whale Branch, and then they played Ridgeland Hardyville played North. Like a lot of schools that we don't always think about that aren't that far away. Little 1As and 2As and stuff, and you got some good little scraps in that tournament. We had Travis on the other night to talk about it. That was fun. We'll have to catch up with him again sometime when we got teams playing up that way.
He's a good follow, man. He's a good follow.
Yeah, he does a great job in Orangeburg. One of the better sports reporters in the state for me. When he's on a game, you're gonna know what happened, and I appreciate that. And he's always helpful when we need help. So. Well, hey guys, let's shout out a couple more sponsors before we call this thing, because this Mizzou game's coming down to the wire. We got the lead on Ohio State now. Varsity sponsors, we got Reverence Wrestling Club. They're the presenting sponsor of the Lowco Grind, our new wrestling podcast, which we're going to do an episode tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, to wrap up the May River Shark Invitational. Great first day. I put out an Instagram graphic with the guys from the Lowco who made it through to the semifinals, including Houston Rudisil from May River. Didn't pin, but he defeated a defending state champ from North Carolina in the quarters. So he's looking like the real deal, freshman from May River. And three of the four semifinalists in the heavyweight division are Lowco guys. Bo Gwynn got through, and then we get our Jeremiah Chavez versus Bradley Denmark matchup in the semis. So that's going to be good. Tomorrow, wrestling, 11:30. That was all about Reverence Wrestling Club. DDS Web Design builds, hosts, and maintains websites for businesses and nonprofits to help them get found online so they can do more and think bigger. Rob, you've had the pleasure of meeting with Denise, and we started a dialogue with Denise and Michael. Looking forward to working with them. Denise, awesome person, great place, DDS Web Design. Hit them up at ddshhi.com and let them know that Lowco sent you. And then the Parker Law Group. They've been serving folks with their legal needs across Hampton, Colleton, and Jasper counties for years, and we appreciate their support, allowing us to continue to expand our coverage in those counties and shine light on more deserving teams and student athletes from around the Low Country. Robbie, also update on Ian. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
PJ told me today while we were at dinner, and
He's going viral, my friend.
He's going viral. He was on something like big on the kids in the kids world.
He was on overtime.
Overtime is what it was. He was on overtime.
That's what sent him. Well, our update tonight is 526,208 views on Instagram. That's
it'll go for months.
Ian's a star, baby. I love it. Ian is a star. Fantastic stuff. I made a little mixtape of Ian too, so that he could get like the highlight treatment.
Man, it's the right kind of content too.
It's so great. I love Ian. He's phenomenal.
I love that. We love those kinds of.
Yeah, that's the best stuff. I mean, and the thing is, it's gonna keep going. It really will. It's just starting, I think.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. To watch it climb is just crazy. Listen to that roar. They love him, man. He's the best. I was there. I filmed it, and I still can't get enough of it. It's so good. When he hits that tween, man, it's so good. He's got some swagger about him. We got to show this as often as possible. I'm still angling to get him on SportsCenter Top 10. I think I think it's the time of year for it. Des had to be like, "Oh yeah, we're shooting here, bro."
Everyone
He's
loves
got a pretty
moving
good
content.
shot. You want to break down that stroke, Rob? A little bit of a walk there. We'll allow it.
I'd go to ball is life, man. Send him to ball is life.
There we go. Tween. Oh, love it. He knew he had to get the
So
crowd back on his
Yeah.
side, so he
yeah,
hit that
yeah.
tween. That stroke's good though. He's just barely off. But he really wanted it from the baseline. They were trying to get him to use the glass, and he was like, "Nah, I got it from the baseline." Because he knew he wanted to fade away and then run into, like, he had this planned out. He knew what was happening. He wanted to run to his boys. He was looking for Cam Roberson first, all the way. He was looking for Cam. And then Goodman was just hurt seconds before this, and he's wilding out over there. So I guess his ankle was okay. Andre, listen to his line. Plus, Hampton rolled in them blue suits. They were looking fresh, man. It was a good look. I love that Hampton team. They're fun. I know they've taken their lumps the last couple of days at that Bobcat Classic, but that's going to make them better.
All of them have.
I'm excited
All
to
of
see.
them have, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, everyone's battle tested. That's basketball.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's great. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, looking ahead to tomorrow, Wes set the stage for Bobcat Classic. Oh, did we lose you, Wes?
Yeah, we got the finals featuring our hometown Bluffton Bobcats, the girls taking on Woodmont. I like Bluffton in this game. I like the hunger that they're playing with and the way that they've been hustling on defense. Even with some adversity early on tonight, I thought they weathered the storm well against a team with athletic guards and a team that can shoot the ball well. And I think they'll be able to find a way to handle what Woodmont throws at them. I expect it to be a physical kind of nail biter to see who comes out on top. But I like Bluffton. I like Bluffton a lot to make history. I think it's just a matter of Takoya and McGee want it a little more. I think they're going to get it done and keep the trophy at home on the girls' side. Then on the guys, well, it's a tough one for Bluffton boys against a really good Marvin Ridge squad, and they'll go up against the Episcopal School of Jacksonville, Florida, in the finals. Still looking for some more Hampton County scores. Both Hurricanes teams in action in that tournament, alongside Well Branch's girls, who unfortunately lost another one today to Forsyth Central.
Yeah.
So
the boys, Hampton County boys lost 54-45 to South Point. I haven't seen Hampton girls score.
But I mean, South Point's legit.
South Point's made some noise in this tournament before. They're solid.
I mean, just to be in that losers bracket, that's a tough losers bracket game. So
exactly. Like South
Yeah.
Point might be the second best team in the tournament. Like potentially.
Hampton County will get.
That's very possible.
I think both of them will get Summit Country Day in the finale. Both the Hampton boys, or actually no, Hampton girls get. Hampton girls will get.
I don't know if the Hampton girls won or lost. I haven't seen their score yet.
Yeah, no, Hampton lost to Summit Country Day, so we get.
They
Hampton
probably lost, or
Branch
you would have heard from them, right, Robbie?
Yeah.
Well, we hear from we get updates from Lyric very regularly, and they're not necessarily
Hampton Whalebridge at noon tomorrow, or at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We get Hampton County against the Whalebridge Warriors.
Damn. Early start. Basketball for brunch. Our boy Doc, he introduced his Stingrays to a real basketball team today, didn't he? Beth Haven, Kentucky. 105-27. You said everybody was like 6'2" across the board.
Well, Doc is a beautiful mind, right? Like he is. He's a beautiful mind, but there's not a ton of beautiful bodies following the mind currently, and that's not on him. It's a 1A school. They have 14 people in their graduating class, right? 14. I think they had like 17 in their junior class. So there's no juniors or seniors out here.
He's
Like
got what
running
he's got.
around.
He's
got what he's got. And the thing is, and I think there's been some questions if they played the right style of ball at times. And I think all of us have had that discussion, with Doc and or, those in the program in and around it. But when the goal is to create a culture and the goal is to step up and start to expect things from kids that are in your program that are going to be cornerstones moving forward. And Doc has been very steadfast on that. And he has been very, he's a Texas guy, right? Like as are a lot of Texas coaches, he is very, hey, it's not this way or the highway, but this is how we're gonna do it. Right. And this is the way it makes sense for us moving forward. And so if you're that guy, buy in. If you're not that guy, then we'll try to figure it out and get different kids. But at the end of the day, he's putting them in circumstances out here which are invaluable. You've got to see what it is. You have to see. You have to see what you're trying to become. There's no disgrace in getting wiped. I mean, I know it sounds funny, but sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail, and that's literally. Brother. Yeah, I mean that's what it is.
There's layers to this ish tiramisu.
As the children say, there are levels to all this, right?
Yes.
And so, it's even in travel. In travel, we're really good for the area. I mean, we wipe our area in girls basketball, and that's not even being arrogant. We wipe it.
Right.
But the reality is that we still get wiped.
Yep.
I mean, and it's not it's one of our teams gets it any given weekend.
Yeah.
And
if you're not getting wiped, then you're not trying hard enough. You're not exposing yourself to the right things.
One of our best teams in the area. This year, they're a national team, right? H2 2027 squad. They're dirty. It's PJ and Amira Brown and Mariah Reed, who's leading Savannah in scoring as a freshman at 18.5, and all these different kids. And the point of the matter is that we got 60-piece last year by a team from Tennessee who had 3 top 20 kids. And at the end of the game, all of us just looked at each other and man, they're beautiful.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome. How
that's the
great,
way, dude. Our little baseball players. I swear to God, it blew my mind when I realized this, but it makes perfect sense once you think about it. Our little baseball players follow guys on Instagram that have whooped our butt before when we go to Atlanta and stuff, and I'm like, yeah. It does make sense now that I think about it. Of course you wanted to look up those guys. Those are your peers, but they're exceptional, and you look up to them. So I mean that's the thing. You got to show it to them. You got to let them understand that the universe is really big, and that
it's really big.
No matter how good you think you are, there's somebody out there who would just absolutely embarrass you. And that's a good thing to be reminded of from time to time.
But you know what? That's absolutely okay. That's what this is.
Amen.
To compete at any level that makes any sense, to invest in, right? So if you're just screwing around and trying to. So we talk about this all the time. We've actually had this big discussion here recently, and I won't get into where, but the concept of activity versus proactivity, right? In the low country.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of people who run around the low country and are active, and they got their kids in every single different kind of activity all the time. and that's great because you're keeping their hands in the dirt and you're keeping them busy and like keeping them out of like what could effectively be a bad situation or whatever.
Right.
But there's proactivity, which is having a focus, having a discipline, having a goal, like actually a
Purposeful.
drive, a purposeful, like you're moving towards something daily. And that's a different sort of level of activity. It is activity with absolute purpose. And so that's what you see out of our best athletes in the area. They have that. You know, and there's no shame in the other, right? Like you want to keep your like just create good people. No, I'm not saying that, but like at the end of the day, the best athletes are proactive. They're not just active. They're not just getting out there and running around and wrecking it up. They are finding what is going to move them forward and then figuring out how to be involved with that.
Yep. It's absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to like, you know, we can, as coaches, as, you know, program directors, things like that, all we can do is put out a platform in front of you, a roadmap, you know, a way to get where you want to go, but you gotta go down the path. And so we talk a lot about want to, and we talk a lot about being purposeful in everything you do, you know, in your practice. Like you're not just going through the motions. You're not just doing it to do it because it's time to practice. It's, you know, you're being purposeful every minute that you're investing in it so that you can get the most out of that time, because you're making a sacrifice to invest that time in a sport or whatever you're investing it in, rather than a social life or whatever. So make it worthwhile, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides to it too. Like, and I get lost in this. I'm the first one to get lost in this. So there are those who can call in right now and say, "Yes, you do, my friend," and that is, you know, pushing towards something, being proactive in the way we just discussed. But that's not for every, like high school.
No, it's not.
Isn't just for those.
No,
right?
It's not.
It's also for those who want to participate and have hey, I want this to be part of the backdrop of my life or
my
a portion of it, and an experience that maybe I can gain this from it. Maybe it doesn't do anything for me, but like it's, you know, it's part of
you're part of a team. You're playing a role. There's a lot to be taken out of it, regardless of where you are in the pecking order. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just something I feel like I deserve, like I want to do, and so that exists, right? Like I mean, about half your kids' teammates, if you go hard, are going to be like that in actual high school sports, and so that requires another level of tolerance. But it also, you know, as parents and as
it's
directors
tricky.
and everyone, it's tricky. You have
it's a precipice, man, because I mean it's a hard thing about high school coaching that I think is kind of underrated. Is some schools, the culture is not such that it's an expectation that everybody's gonna go hard. You know, like there's more of an expectation that, well, yeah, if you come out, there's no cuts, you know, you'll be on the team and, you know, we'll try to get everybody playing time, you know, like, so sometimes coaches have to kind of try to balance philosophically what they want to preach and what they want to do as far as earning playing times and things like that with what the culture of a overall school is, or a principal's view on what high school athletics should be, which is not necessarily right or wrong. You know, it's just different perspectives and viewpoints. And so it can become a tricky thing for some of those high school coaches who, you know, maybe expect everybody to be as invested as they are, and it's just not always the case.
And I think also in this area, right? So we are an emerging area by every single metric, you know, in the Southeast in terms of move in, move out. building houses, you know,
Yeah.
all this sort of stuff. Like Bluffton is hot, 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 hot. Beaufort County, hot, 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 hot. So like that's a wonderful thing. I mean, I think you can discuss the pros and cons of that on a totally different show that doesn't involve me and has people way smarter than me. But at the end of the day, you know, we've changed the demographics of the area. If you just look at basketball over the last several years, the top players in the area, I mean, God knows we spent however long talking prep basketball. Well, they have only almost exclusively benefited by transplants, right? And
kept it afloat.
Yeah.
And I mean, so like that's
Cusano Hayes those last 2 years. I mean, Cusano was that guy who led him to a state championship.
Well, Courtney Campbell.
The Campbells. Yeah. Everybody came during COVID.
What about Hilton Head High School the year? Hilton Head High School the year before.
Yeah, McCracken.
McCracken.
Hilton Head Christian football too. I mean, about a third of that team was from Connecticut before 2020. Plus Scarpa and Dylan Clark and Christian Jackson. There were like 4 or 5 people that moved down from Connecticut at the same time. I mean, they had a big influx of people. We kind of lose track of that at times because you don't know who's just graduating from middle school and who just got here last week, you know, but definitely the Hilton Head Preps and Hilton Head Christians benefit greatly from that. That's a good point.
Yeah, sure.
Was there something else you were saying, Rob, before we got off track there? Rob, Bueller. Did Rob literally fall asleep mid-sentence? Where do you go?
I'm here.
There you are. We lost you for a second. Thought maybe you fell asleep mid-sentence.
No, fish called.
I got you. Well, you should have gave him the link and just had him get in here, but I think we should.
And Fish is going to need him soon because, like we were talking about with the Parody Girls Ball, like Cross JP2 is coming up, right?
I know.
These weren't games that mattered, but they're certainly interesting. But these are
cross games didn't matter. Period.
Well, they hired up and like they.
I know they're starting to matter.
They brought in some good people. But anyway, long story short,
relevance.
They added and I think with some of these 1As and 2As, basketball is the way to go first.
Yeah. Oh, it's way easier. It's way easier because you only got to get 7. You get 7, you're good. You can roll.
But then all of a sudden, the key with those little schools is because, like, I mean, honestly, the truth of the cross worlds or the heritages is all them. They're like, well, is Christian playing, or is Bluffton playing, or is Hilton Head High School playing? You know, football. That's where they go.
Right.
You know, on those given weekends, and the key is, you know, to develop something that is their own, that they're successful at, that they can be recognized at, that they can wear their gear and actually have pride and not be like, oh, I go to a damn Montessori, right? You know, and I think that's sort of what's happening right now over there.
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys were discussing something totally different before I got a phone call.
I don't even remember what we were talking about now, to tell you the truth. You started it, whatever we were talking about, but we were just talking about transplants and how it changed, you know.
Yeah, well, it just changed it changed the area, it changed the, you know, like, and in some cases, the way the area plays. I mean, look at JP2's boys coach. He's a knapsack coach. You look at, you know, down at Prep, they're running the Princeton, and that's straight out. That's what he ran at Maine. You know, I guess we're still running NASCAR on the hardwood up at Christian, and then Bluffton's, you know, just sort of emerging. Like, the thing is that some of these schools just have what they have, right? And some are doing a better job of nurturing it. Like like I truly believe like CJ's done a nice job at Battery Creek. Like this is like they've lost a couple recently,
You
but
get another call.
what's that?
And I'm back. I blipped out for a while there. I don't know what was going on. You guys talking?
I was just saying CJ's doing good work, man.
Absolutely he is. I was
he's-
gone for a while. I was on digital walkabout. My internet went out for a bit, but yeah, he's doing great work. Doing terrific work. They've got what, 8 wins now?
Well, it's not even like that necessarily because they've lost a couple recently, and but like my bigger thing is that when you build it from the ground up, like, and you have kids who show up and who care, then that gets to be part of the culture of the program.
They're
moving
invested.
forward. They're invested, and like
They're invested. It's great to see.
Yeah, and Wales always had that, and now Battery's getting that on the boys' side in basketball, and and then so like it's going to be interesting, man. The next couple of months are going to be super interesting. We've got a lot of teams that are really freaking close on the boys and girls side.
Yeah. Well, and like every region, it feels like has some really competitive matchups up and down. So like that 2A region with Hampton on the boys' side is going to be just Donnybrooks every night. Woodland, Hampton, Barnwell, who else am I forgetting? It's going to be tough. Ridgeland, Eddystone, like it's going to be good. So looking forward to it. Let's shout out the Lowco Booster Club and call it a night. We got the Court Lifestyle Pros, Low Country natives Daniel and Debbie Court, selling the Lowco Lifestyle on Hilton Head Island. Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country. My guy Chris Odom will get your floors so clean your feet will thank you. Prime IV Hydration and Wellness, now open in Belfair Town Village. Go see Max when you get back in town. Robbie, you're going to need the juice. Rooted Living Wellness. I got to go see Dr. Ambrose Cole this week because my back and neck are jacked up. Best chiropractor I know. Eagle Creations, great place for promotional items, custom apparel. And Jay's Barbershop, the place to be.
Yeah,
what's that?
Mizzou. Cotton Bowl.
Mizzou.
Oh, Dr. Ambrose. Dr. Ambrose definitely sharing the pride with me for my Mizzou Tigers bringing home the W tonight. Sorry, Buckeye fans, but we took the kick tonight. We get all the cotton at Jerry's World. Yeah, there we are. We're getting the trophy. Let's go. There's Truman the Tiger. You may know I have a son named Truman. Yeah, that's his namesake there. The house I'm in tonight.
Hold on.
There are 9 Mizzou degrees.
Is that his actual namesake?
Well, I mean, sort of. There's also a president named Truman, but they're named after the Tigers named after the president. So I guess it's sort of the same thing. But there are 9 Mizzou degrees in the house I'm in right now, and a pension, and a kid named over here. Pretty Mizzou heavy over here. I blipped out again. But let's call it a night, fellas. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. And we've talked a lot of hoops tonight. So let's call it a night. Thanks so much to Robbie Benson, the Bada Bing, for stopping by, as well as Wes Kerr. I'm Justin Jarrett. Thanks to all of our sponsors and all of you who showed up to listen or watch. I'm going to get out before the internet gremlins get me again. Until next time, go Lowco.